So everyone should be writing out the weather data table for Brookfield today. Go on weather.com. If you're done writing it out already, you can close your Chromebook. We'll be using them later on, but not right now.
Is there anybody in here that needs to take their quiz?
If you're finished writing out the data table, you can close your Chromebook. Is everyone finished with filling out the data table?
No, maybe.
All right, so for our lesson today, we're going to continue on our study of weather. More specifically, today we're going to learn about how to read a weather map and how scientists predict the weather. So our agenda for today is we're going to read section 4, which is pages 99 through 104 in the textbook on your table. It's about predicting the weather. During our reading, we're going to fill out the guided reading packet, and we're going to discuss the answers for that. After that, we're going to play a quick game of Kahoot. And then for your homework today, it's going to be one sheet about reviewing and reinforcing what we learned. So we'll start with a quick YouTube video.
Weather is one of the most powerful, important forces on Earth. But how do you know what the weather is going to be like so you can plan ahead? A lot can go wrong if you don't plan for the weather. While you're busy with your everyday life, a global network of gadgets scan and measure the atmosphere, collecting data from all over the world. Radar systems, weather balloons, ocean monitoring buoys, and lots of other cool instruments track changes to help predict the weather. Another vital ingredient is space. Way out in orbit, weather satellites are getting the big picture of atmospheric changes. These European weather satellites, METOP and Meteosat, give us the ability to see the weather before it reaches us. Orbiting the Earth 14 times a day, around 850 kilometers up, METOP keeps a close eye on temperature, humidity and winds. METOP's observations, along with all the other data, are fed into powerful supercomputers. These huge machines then crunch their way through millions of bits of data about current weather, oceans and atmosphere to forecast future weather. The process is called numerical weather prediction and is what scientists use to help us plan our lives. It's clever stuff. Individuals and entire countries can react when bad weather is on the way. Governments, pilots, farmers, fishermen and sailors, shop owners, tourists, building workers and even power stations all rely on accurate weather forecasts. Further out in space, at 36,000 kilometers, Meteosat stays over the same spot on Earth, keeping a 24-hour watch over Europe and Africa's weather. This type of satellite is essential for detecting the development of rapidly changing weather, such as storms or fog, helping meteorologists work out what is likely to happen in the next few hours. So many lives are affected in huge ways by the weather, and our ability to predict and plan for it. And everyone's life is affected in little ways every day. Weather forecasts enable us to plan to keep traffic moving, planes on schedule and on the safest path. And everyone's day, well, not always without a hitch. So remember that a whole host of satellites and other amazing weather technology are always at your fingertips whenever you have plans. So don't forget to check the weather.
Alright, so I'm going to pass out your reading guide quick to go along with what we're all reading. While I'm doing this, I wrote down the 3 objectives that we have today on the board. Can someone read for me objective number 1?
Explain how technology helps forecasters predict the weather.
So we're going to learn today about all the different types of instruments that scientists use to predict the weather. Can someone read for me number 2? Can you read number 2? Number 2 on the board. Go ahead, read.
Describe the types of information shown on weather maps.
So we're going to learn today how to read a weather map. And then can someone read number 3 for me? Number 3.
Describe El Nino and its effects.
So we're going to learn how El Nino affects our weather. So if you can open up your books now to page 99. Page 99 of your books.
That's a big number.
So how we're going to do this, I'm going to read the first page, and then I'm going to call on someone to start reading the first paragraph on the second page, and after they're done reading their paragraph, they will call on someone else to read. So, predicting the weather. For centuries, people have tried to predict the weather. Every nation's folklore includes weather sayings. Many of these sayings are based on long-term observations. Sailors, pilots, farmers, and others who work outdoors are usually careful observers of clouds, winds, and other signs of coming changes in the weather. Here are 2 examples. Every evening red and morning gray will send the traveler on his way. Evening gray and morning red will bring down rain upon his head. Red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. Red sky at night, sailors delight. Why do these 2 weather sayings agree that a red morning sky means bad weather? Recall that in the United States, storms usually move from west to east. Clouds in the west may indicate an advancing low-pressure area bringing stormy weather. If there are high clouds in the west in the morning, the rising sun in the east turns these clouds red. The reverse is true at sunset. As the sun sets in the west, it turns clouds in the east red. Clouds in the east may indicate that a storm is moving away to the east. So on page 100, we're learning about weather forecasting. Can someone read the first paragraph for me? Weather forecasting on page 100. Go ahead.
You can make many predictions from your own observations. For example, if the barometer shows that the air pressure is falling, then that will mean low. Falling air pressure usually indicates approaching low pressure area, possibly bringing rain or snow.
You can read weather signs in the clouds too. Cumulus clouds often form on warm afternoons when warm air rises. You see these clouds growing larger and taller. You can expect them to become cumulonimbus clouds, which may bring a thunderstorm. If you see thin cirrus clouds high in the sky, a low pressure area may be approaching.
Cumulonimbus clouds. Those are those high, huge storm clouds that you see when a storm is coming. Good.
Even careful weather observers often turn to professional meteorologists for television weather information. You may hear the person who gives the television weather report referred to as a meteorologist. Despite their name, meteorologists don't study meteors. Meteorologists are scientists who study the causes of weather and try to predict weather.
James, can you read? Meteorologists interpret.
Meteorologists interpret information from a variety of sources, including local weather observers, instruments carried by winds, satellite lights, and weather stations around the world. They use maps, charts, and computers to analyze the data and prepare weather forecasts. Meteorologists use radar to track areas of rain or snow, so that forecasters can follow the path of other storm systems.
Where does television and radio weather information from important source information? A lot of weather information comes from the National Weather Service. However, weather forecasts for the general public may not have enough detail to be useful for farmers and pilots. There are also private weather forecasting services, many of which Look at things in my orchard, the airplane costumes, with instructions to strike things on the display.
Okay, let's stop right there for right now. So look at your reading guides that I handed out. We can answer number 1 and number 2 on them from what we read. So number 1, scientists who study the causes of weather and try to predict it are called what? Meteorologists. Scientists who study the causes of weather and try to predict it are called meteorologists.
Why are they called meteorologists? Because it's like a meteorologist, like it's from meteor.
It has nothing to do with meteors. It's just the cause.
I used to be really confused.
It's a little confusing, but it's just a name that they gave for them, telling that they are the ones that study the weather patterns on Earth. Number 2, circle the letter of each choice that is a source of weather information for meteorologists.
Instruments carried by balloons, satellites, and radar.
Yep. So A, C, and D. So circle the letters of each choice that is a source of weather information for meteorologists. A, radar. C, instruments carried by balloons. And D, satellites. So now we're on weather technology on page 101 in your books. Can someone please read the first paragraph for me? Yes.
Techniques for predicting weather have changed rapidly in recent years. Short-range forecasts about the 5 days are now very reliable. Meteorologists can also make long-range predictions that were once impossible. Changes in technology have occurred in 2 areas: gathering weather data and using computers to make forecasts.
Can you read that bulletin, that golden part for me again, please?
Changes in technology have occurred in 2 areas: gathering weather data, and using computers to make forecasts.
Yes.
Weather balloons and satellites. As you learned in Chapter 1, weather balloons carry instruments high underneath the atmosphere in the stratosphere. The instruments measure temperature, air pressure, and humidity. The first weather satellite was launched in 1960. Cameras on weather satellites in the exosphere can photograph Earth's surface, clouds, storms, ice, and snow cover. These images are then transmitted to meteorologists in space, who interpret the information.
Me?
Computer forecasts. Computers are widely used to help forecast weather. Instruments can now gather thousands of bits of data about temperature, air pressure, wind speed, and other factors. Computers process large amounts of information quickly to help forecasters make predictions. To make a forecast, the computer starts with weather conditions reported from weather stations over a large area. Conditions reported include wind speed and direction, humidity, sunlight, temperature, and air pressure. Then the computer works with thousands of calculations to make forecasts for 12 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours, and so on. Each forecast builds on the previous forecast. When new weather data comes in, the computer revises its forecast.
Okay, so take a look at our guided reading guides. So now we can answer questions 3 through 7. So question 3 on weather technology. In what 2 areas have improvements in technology improved the accuracy of weather forecasts? We heard that twice. Correct. Gathering weather data and using computers to create forecasts. Gathering weather data and using computers to create forecasts. Number 4, is the following sentence true or false? Weather forecasts for over 3 days into the future are never reliable. False. Yep, it's false.
Wait, what was 3 again?
3, gathering the weather data and using computers to create forecasts. Everyone good? Number 5. Fill in the blanks in the flowchart to show the sequence of events in forecasting the weather. Step 1. Weather data are collected from instruments in balloons, blank, and blank. What other two instruments? Satellites, not radar. Satellites and... It said it after everything. I think you're on the right track.
Yeah, local observation. Yeah, seeing what they, like, is it cloudy one day, is it not cloudy?
It's not a person, though. It's a specific thing. Yeah. Not meteorologist, we. Weather balloons, satellites, and weather stations. Weather stations. Weather balloons, satellites, and weather stations. Step 2. Data are sent to a what? Data are sent to a what?
Computer.
Yep, computer. They're sent to a computer. Step 3. Numerous calculations are performed. Step 4. Scientists called what use this information? Scientists called meteorologists use this information. Step 5. A what is prepared from all this information? A weather forecast. A weather forecast is created, is prepared from this information. Anyone have any questions on the flowchart? F. What happens to the calculations in step 3 if the data collected in step 1 changes? What happens to the calculations in step 3 if the data collected in step 1 changes? Yeah, Yep, the weather is revised. So the data is used and the computer revises the forecast. The data is used and the computer revises the forecast. G. How would this change what is prepared in step 5?
So the temperatures and everything else would be changed.
So all that would be changed, but I'm looking for what it said in the book. There's one sentence that it used in the book. How would this change what is prepared in step 5? Yeah. A different weather forecast would be prepared. Yes, that's the second part of my second part of the answer. But before that, how do they create the forecast? The second to last sentence is what I'm looking for. Can someone read the two last sentences for me? Yeah. Each forecast builds on the previous forecast. When new weather data comes in, the computer revises its forecast. So your answer is each forecast builds on the previous forecast. So the old forecast is revised to create the new forecast. Each forecast builds on the previous forecast. So the old forecast is revised to create the new forecast. Number 6. Circle the letter of each sentence that is true about weather balloons or weather satellites. Someone give me some letters.
A.
Raise your hand. Yep, James. A. There's 2 more. Not C. B and B. Yeah, D. So A, B, and D. So A, weather balloons can carry instruments as high as the stratosphere. B, weather balloons carry instruments that measure humidity. And D, weather satellites take pictures of Earth from the exosphere? Number 7. Circle the letter of each sentence that is true about computer weather forecasts. Go ahead, James. D and D and B, correct. B, computer forecasts are based on weather conditions from many weather stations. And D, when new weather comes in, new computer forecasts are produced. Any questions on the section about weather technology? F, the data is used and the computer revises the forecast. The data is used and the computer revises the forecast. Any other questions? All right, turn to page 102 in your books. Now we're going to talk about El Nino. El Nino. Abby, can you start reading that for me, please?
Some long-term weather patterns may be caused by changes occurring in global winds. Periodically, a warm water environment is El Nino patterns in the tropical Pacific Ocean. During an El Nino event, winds shift and push warm surface water towards the west coast of South America. The warm water replaces the cold water that usually rises between the ocean. El Nino events occur once every 2 to 7 years. They can cause dramatic climate changes around the Pacific Ocean and other places. In the winter of 1997 and 1998, a strong El Nino current caused droughts in Asia and Brazil, heavy rains and floods in California and Peru, tornadoes in Florida and other parts of the southeastern United States. Scientists have looked for clues and warnings to help predict the return of El Nino. One signal is the rise in surface temperatures in the tropical part of the Pacific Ocean. These are data gathered during past El Nino events. Scientists were able to predict many of the results at the time of the 1998 El Nino.
So reading weather maps. A weather map is a snapshot of conditions at a particular time over a large area. There are many different types of weather maps. Television forecasters often present maps generated by computers from radar information.
Data from more than 300 local weather stations all over the country are assembled into weather maps at the National Weather Service. The information collected by a typical reporting station is summarized in the key of Figure 19. The weather map, which is on this slide, includes most of the weather station data shown in the key.
Yeah, go ahead.
On some weather maps, you can curve these lines mark places where seasonal conditions, temperature or air pressure are the same. Isobars are lines joining pieces of map that have the same area. Iso means people and bar means pressure. The number on the isobars are pressure readings. Air pressure readings may be given in inches of mercury or millibars or both. Figure 19 has isobars.
Can you read the sentence beginning with isobars again for me, please?
Isobars are lines joining places on the map that have the same area. Iso means equal and bar means pressure. The number on the isobars are the pressure readings. Air pressure readings may be given in inches of mercury or millibars or both. Figure 19 has isobars. Isotherms are lines joining places that have the same temperature. This isotherm may be labeled with the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit, degrees Celsius, or both.
Turn to page 104. Someone want to start reading newspaper weather maps for me, please?
Maps and newspapers are simplified versions of maps produced by the National Weather Service. Explore newspaper weather maps shows a typical newspaper weather map. From what you have learned in this chapter, you can probably interpret most of the symbols on this map. Standard symbols on weather maps show fronts, areas of high and low pressure, types of precipitation, and temperatures. Note that the high and low pressure temperatures are given in degrees Fahrenheit instead of Celsius. The maps and figures want to show the path that we're interested in. If you study the maps carefully, you can track this storm and its effects. In practice, you can use information from weather maps to help you predict the weather in your area.
Even with current technology, weather forecasting is tricky. The main reason is the weather patterns do not follow normal cycles.
Finish it off.
The forecast for the weather 6 days from now is based on forecast for all the days that we know. A small change in the weather today can mean a larger change in the weather a week later. This is so called butterfly effect. The name refers to a scientist's suggestion that even the flapping of a butterfly's wings causes a tiny disturbance in the atmosphere. The tiny event might cause a larger disturbance that could eventually grow into a hurricane.
All right, go to page 3 of your reading guides. Talking about reading weather maps. So number 8. What data are indicated by symbols on a weather map? What data are indicated by symbols on a weather map? Yes.
When, some of the weather, and when speed, and then the wind direction.
We got 3, we're missing 2. So he said precipitation or weather, wind speed and direction, and cloud cover. Missing 2 still, yep.
Fronts and areas of high temperature.
Yep, atmospheric pressure, we're missing 1 more. What are the numbers for? What do the numbers show? The numbers show the... Yep, numbers show the temperature. So the 5 are precipitation, wind speed and direction, temperature, cloud cover, and atmospheric pressure. Precipitation, wind speed and direction, temperature, cloud cover, and atmospheric pressure. Number 9. What are the temperature, air pressure, and wind direction at the weather station represented by the symbol shown here? If you look on page 103, that could probably be a good help for you. Yeah?
The temperature is 55 degrees, the air pressure is 18. The wind direction is 21 to 20. The wind speed is 21 to 25, and the direction is southwest.
Yep, southwest. One more thing. One more. What's the cloud cover? Yeah, 100%. So we're 55 degrees Fahrenheit. The winds are from the southwest at 21 to 25 miles per hour. The atmospheric pressure is 1,028 millibars. Millibars is just our label for atmospheric pressure. And the cloud cover is 100%. Any questions on 8 or 9? Yeah, go ahead.
Can you repeat 8 again?
8. So what data are indicated by symbols on a weather map? The precipitation, wind speed and direction, temperature, cloud cover, and atmospheric pressure. Good. Okay, number 10. Match the term with its definition. Isobars. Correct. Isobars are lines on a weather map joining places that have the same air pressure, B. Number 11, what are isotherms?
A, lines on a weather map joining places that have the same temperature.
Correct. Isotherms are lines on a weather map joining places that have the same temperature. So an easy way to tell the difference between isobars and isotherms, think of the root word for isotherms. Therms, thermometer. So then you know that has to deal with temperature. And with isobars, it has to deal with the pressure. So barometric pressure and isobars. Bars. Number 12. What do standard symbols show on weather maps in newspapers? What do standard symbols show on weather maps in newspapers? Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Fronts, areas of high and low air pressure, precipitation, and temperature.
Correct. So it's fronts, areas of high and low pressure, types of precipitation, and temperatures. (13) Is the following sentence true or false? The butterfly effect refers to the fact that a small change in the weather today can mean a large change in the weather a week after. Yes?
True.
True. True. Yeah.
Can we have a comment?
Sure. So what do standard symbols show on weather maps and newspapers? Fronts, areas of high and low pressure, types of precipitation, and temperatures. Are there any other questions? Yeah.
Number 9 again.
Number 9. So the temperature, air pressure, and wind direction at the weather station represented by the symbol 55 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 to 25 miles per hour, winds out of the southwest, 1,028 millibars is the air pressure, and 100% cloud cover. Any other questions? All right, you can close your books and take out your Chromebooks. We're going to play a game of Kahoots. You have it set up. So you guys can just No, you don't have to. Yep. The first part on your reading guide, you don't have to worry about doing. We're not going to do that.
And then 1,028 feet per pressure.
Go to the weather song.
1,028 pressure and 100%
Wow.
cloud cover.
Can you hear the song? It's just
So this game of Kahoots is going to be a mixture of what we learned today and then a review of what you guys learned earlier this week.
Did you know that recording is not a
If you're all in, can you raise your hand? Girls.
James Ryan.
Are you in No, not how it is. Kitty, don't go back and forth. And Abdul.
Scaly cloud.
If you're in, can you raise your hand again for me? If you're in, can you please raise your hand?
I know it.
You guys both in?
Oh, wait.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Okay, I'm taking this.
There's 20 questions.
Oh dear.
What is this weather tool used for?
No, it's measuring the water.
Oh god, I messed it up.
I feel like that's for like the ground.
Yes.
Oh.
I knew it.
What was that tool? Yeah. Not a grounder. Yep, a rain gauge. A rain gauge. Show us how much rain we got. What does an anemometer measure?
Can't see.
Oh, first one. It's Minecraft.
No.
Listen to that.
Yeah, you're correct.
I'm
What
12
place?
points behind Brian.
You're still 12.
Remember this? This is the anemometer.
No, it's not.
Measures the wind speed.
Oh my god, are you being
How is it a barometer?
So she's in front of
And
you?
Anna.
So she's in front of you? Next. Ooh, come on the board.
What tool is used to measure temperature?
Boom.
I was too fast.
Oh, you clicked the wrong one. Oh, no.
Where did that keep me?
I'm still.
James. What does this weather tool measure?
Oh god.
The symbols should help. Yep, good.
I'm
Wind
in third
direction.
place.
I said wins. You're in fifth place now.
Who studies weather?
People.
Well, that was easy.
Good, that was from today.
Science.
Why did you got that wrong?
No.
Blank is water that falls from the sky in the form of rain, snow, sleet, or hail.
Is it God? I clicked. It's
She clicked the wrong one. Darn.
I believe that. Second place.
Oh, you're the
So
only
we're gonna review.
I accidentally.
We're gonna review what condensation is and evaporation are later on in this Kahoot. But remember, precipitation is falling down. So anything falling down.
She clicked it by
Me.
accident.
I think of me.
It was her who clicked it. It was her who clicked it.
Identify this weather map symbol.
Oh, warm front.
I was.
It was warm.
How did I
Yep,
get
remember
past?
warm front is looking like a sun, so you know it's warm.
Keep moving your mouth.
What type of weather does this weather symbol bring?
What's it like?
Oh, I'm a genius machine.
It was.
Can someone remind me what pressure usually comes with a cold front? Low pressure.
Oh.
So remember, low pressure, L, lousy weather. Strong storms equals lousy weather.
Tell me what you clicked. Tell me what you clicked.
Oh.
Abby, interesting.
Scooby. Go Abby.
A cloud of what forms when water vapor changes to a liquid?
Dang it.
Do it.
Probably got this.
I must look it back from.
Maybe you should keep it back.
Wait.
She clicked the wrong one again.
So if precipitation is stuff falling from the sky, Condensation is when the stuff from the sky, the water vapor, turns into some type of liquid to fall from the sky.
What liquid? You're welcome.
Who said fluff?
I didn't mean to. I was just like this.
They call it a bottom.
Blank is when liquid water changes to a gas or water vapor.
Fluff. Why is fluff like every answer?
Good.
Yeah, I was right.
Oh my gosh.
So evaporation is liquid. Evaporation is liquid to gas. Condensation is gas to liquid.
Oh, you chose that the first time. By accident. That was the one that you picked by accident.
A meteorologist observes that the air pressure is increasing. Predict the weather. Air pressure is increasing, so it's a high pressure situation. High pressure.
You have to be able to
Damn.
I was too fast.
I don't. Because I let it read. You probably got
So remember, high pressure brings happy weather. The happy weather would be the sunny weather, not the cold and snowy thunderstorms and wind and dampness and clouds. It's all considered the lousy weather that would come with the low pressure. What general direction does weather move in the United States? What general direction does weather move in the United States?
North and south? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing that I read. Fail.
Remember, if you're looking outside, looking in the west, you always see clouds coming usually this way towards you, from west to east.
Yeah.
So that's also like in this, like we were talking about the first thing when I was talking about the red sky in the morning. That's why they were looking in the west, because the clouds were coming from the west. They knew there was a storm coming. What type of weather does this weather symbol bring? High pressure. Kind of a tricky question.
I thought you were going to say.
Flubber nuggets.
What's another tricky question? Usually it's fair weather and light winds. Usually it's fair weather and light winds. What are the lines called that join places with the same air pressure? Same air pressure.
Oh, too bad.
You both got this Where you
I never knew isobar was an energy bubble.
what did I say?
Good. El Nino is a warm weather event that occurs in what ocean? This was today.
You got it correct.
If you put Lake Michigan is not an ocean. It It is a lake.
It should be.
And remember, this corresponds to the last question about how weather moves across the United States. Remember, it moves from west to east.
Oh my God.
So the Pacific Ocean is on our western coast.
Okay.
So we're going to see that weather from the El Nino from the Pacific Ocean because the weather moves west to east. Not the Atlantic Ocean, which is to our east.
They call it lake. Why would they name the ocean a lake?
You are dumb.
Low pressure systems generally bring what type of weather?
Bad.
Bright and sunny with
Avalanche.
Low pressure systems.
Low? No, they bring bright sunny weather.
I could make your Ryan
Bright sunny weather.
Let's see who's correct.
Ryan.
Let's see who's correct. Let's see who's correct.
It's still gonna help me down.
Good.
See, because I took so long.
Oh, you should both pick the wrong
I'm here
one. Both
19.
take this one.
What is not a method that meteorologists use to collect weather data? This was part of our lesson today. Actually, it was right on our reading guide.
It's so good.
She picked this one.
Boys eat that next
I look at
It tastes like that.
Remember on the reading guide, it was a multiple choice question that 3 out of the 4 letters were correct. The 4 letters were radar, satellites, and weather balloons.
weather balloon.
Remember, isobars measure barometric pressure, atmospheric pressure. They're not used to collect weather data. True or false? Isotherms are lines joining places that have the same temperature. Isobars are lines joining places that have the same temperature.
Don't make me.
You have
Oh my God, you're wrong.
Why didn't you just put
because you don't have an idea.
You need to study more? No. That,
Lil Billy?
Mine was I need to study
Remember, isotherms, therms is thermometer, and a thermometer measures temperature.
how can you be coming to these crap?
Hey, I'm 221.
I'm 19. No, I'm 15.
What elements or which elements can weather balloons not measure? Which elements can weather balloons not measure?
Wait, they can't measure.
Oh, I totally got lucky.
Oh my God,
Good.
Well, thank you.
Remember, they're up in the air, so they're not going to be able to measure how much snow we have on the ground. And last question. True or false? Weather will change when 2 air masses meet.
Oh my God, my cousin shoes.
Remember, 2 air masses meet, that's where a front is. So usually there will be a weather change where there is a front. Alright, everyone, return back to your seats, please. We'll see.
Nobody knows.
Noah.
I want to see Carl.
Return back to your seats, please.
I'm trying to return the chair. There.
You know that Carl and Luis knows how to drive?
What I am handing out to you now will be your homework for Monday. It's just, it looks like a lot right now, but you're only doing 1 page of it.
Hey, we're just trying. This is the part.
The first page is just a summary of what we learned today. And you guys will be completing the second page for your homework. You don't have to worry about the third page on atmospheric pressure. You'll probably end up doing it sometime next week. So can everyone turn to page 2 for me?
I don't know
Turn to page 2. Predicting the weather. Understanding main ideas. Fill in the blanks in the table by interpreting the symbols on the map. So all you're doing is looking at the 3 cities, Denver, Chicago, and New York, and you're giving the temperature, cloud cover, wind direction, wind speed, and air pressure for numbers 1 through 11. It's just like we did on number 8 or number 9 in your reading guides. Just like you did for number 9. And then building vocabulary. If the statement is true, write true. If it is false, change the underlined word or words to make the statement true. Okay, so this will be due on Monday. I will collect it from you on Monday. And you do not have to worry about doing the next page on wind and air pressure. You will most likely do that sometime next week. Alright, so to wrap up our lesson today, we're going to go through what our objectives were. Can someone tell me what our first objective was? It's still written on the board. Yes?
Explain how technology helps forecasters predict the weather.
What were some of the ways that we learned how meteorologists, forecasters predict the weather? Someone give me one. Yes? Radar. Another one. Okay. Satellites. Another one. Weather balloons. Yep. Number 2. Someone read number 2 for me. Yeah.
Describe the types of information shown on weather maps.
So what were some of the things that we were able to tell from reading a weather map? That was number 8 on your reading guides. Number 8. Someone give me one quick. Yes.
Wind direction.
Wind direction. Precipitation. Cloud cover. Air pressure. And one more. Temperature. Temperature. Number 3. Someone read number 3. Yes.
Describe El Nino and types.
Where does El Nino occur? In what ocean? Pacific Ocean. So everything, remember we talked about how weather moves from west to east. So El Nino happens every 2 to 7 years and will affect the area east of it. Alright, so what I want you to do right now is pull out your assignment notebooks and write this down that you have this due for me on Monday. This is due on Monday. I will be collecting it.
Oh, I'm basically done.
That's good. You don't have homework over the weekend with that. Right. If you're finished already with that, you guys can go on Canvas sites and work on weather-related topics, weather maps, predicting the weather.
Happy birthday, Ryan.
It's not my birthday.